Hey guys, what's up? And today we're going to be looking at Burnley's season. So Burnley, who surprised everybody and managed to finish 7th in the league, even though they were expected to get mid-table this year. First of all, we're going to be starting with Tom Heaton, who hasn't played since like October kind of time, and really hasn't done anything, so we might as well not mention him. The next person we're going to be talking about, well, the first really, George Kevin and Kudu, on loan from Tottenham, who you'd think I'd rate, but I really don't. I could see the potential in him when Pochettino signed him, but I can't now. Certainly not whilst Son is in the form of his life for Tottenham. I just can't see him getting back into it. But anyway, he hasn't scored or assisted this year, which kind of backs up that point. Next was Burnley's most probably, or if not joint with the next one, team player of the season really, Nick Pope, who's started off the season on a bench warmer and now been linked with an England call-up. And I don't know if he's actually made his England debut, but I think he's been in a squad. He's a really good goalkeeper, I really rate him. Next is James Tarkowski, who's probably another one who's been absolutely brilliant for Burnley, rather surprisingly. But he really has been brilliant this year. He's also made his England debut, I think. Ben Mee, who I think has had an injury, and I don't think he scored this year. No, he hasn't scored this year. But he's had injury problems recently, which is why Long's been playing for him. And Long's done alright debuting for him, but Ben Mee's a class above Long, really. Next is Stephen Defoe, who actually had a really good season for Burnley in centre midfield. And he's got 1 goal and 1 assist currently. And that's pretty good considering he normally sits deep. Jack Cork is another one who's had a really good Premiership, who's had a really good year this year. He also, I think, got in England call-up, scoring 3 goals and getting 2 assists is really impressive for him. Really impressive, considering he doesn't score much. That's really good. Next is Chris Wood, who's been Burnley's top scorer with 11 goals. And who's had injuries, really. Well, he had a long injury with an arm injury, I think. And then a leg injury, I think, as well, for a little while. But anyway, he got really good once he came back. Really good. Johan Goodmanson is another one who's really impressed this year for Burnley, getting 2 goals and 8 assists. It's the 8 assists everyone's been raving him about him for. Matt Lowton, who's had a really good year this year, and I mean really good year, at right back. With Burnley, he wasn't much known in Burnley before this year, but he certainly is now. He's been immense for him this year. Charlie Taylor, signing a free transfer from Leeds last summer, and who's had some really good performances this year at left back. Aaron Lennon, who signed in January, has had a really good second half of the season. He looks like a different player, really. And on his day, with his pace, he can really hurt the team. Robbie Brady, who I think has been injured for quite a little while. Yes, he has been injured for quite a little while. He got 3 goals and 3 assists in the time he was fit for. But I know he's had a long injury because he would have had more than that. Next we're going to be looking at Ashley Barnes, who scored 10 goals this year. And him and Chris Wood have really been leading Burnley really well this year. Next person we're going to be looking at is Sam Vokes, who got 4 goals and 1 assist this year. Mainly been used as a bench warmer really because of Barnes and Chris Wood's form. But when he's been required, he's been really good. Stephen Ward also spent quite a bit of the time on the bench behind Charlie Taylor, but he's had some good games. Jeff Hendrich, who scored 2 goals and got 2 assists this year, which is really impressive considering he He's played deeper sometimes, he played out wide sometimes. They've kind of played him anywhere really in that midfield. Ashley Westwood hasn't got the football he would have expected this year, I don't think. Kevin Long has got 1 assist and 2 goals. No, 1 assist and 2 goals this year. No, 2 assists and 1 goal this year. And he's been mainly deputised when Ben Mead had a knock or anything. That's pretty good. Armfield hasn't really done a lot this year. Has barely played really. Hasn't scored or assisted a goal this year. And it's been confirmed today he's off to Rangers. Barnsley hasn't played a lot. Neither Walters really. Dean Marnie's leaving as well. None of these that I've really played. He's my youth star. Next we're going to be looking at their transfer targets. I'll order it by overall first of all. So first of all we've got the beast that is Yaya Toure, who is an amazing player. He's got amazing ability, and he's actually and what he does lack in his passing, he can make up for in his physicalities. Next we've got the 2 West Brom strikers, Rodriguez and Rondon, who, given the fact they both got relegated this year, obviously, West Brom got relegated, they could be 2 players but Burnley easy up for, because Rodriguez could play out wide and he'd be happy to come back to Burnley probably. Burnley fans would welcome him back. Rondon would be one they probably welcome if he can be a bit more prolific in front of goal. Matt Phillips is one they could bring in from West Brom, kind of create for Rondon, and really, because they got quite a good relationship anyway, create for him a lot. Janssen they could bring in from Leeds as a backup for Ben Mee and Tarkowski really. He's a really good centre half. He hasn't had as good a year this year as he had last year, but he's still a good player. Next we're looking at Alexander Mitrovic, who didn't really get a shot in the Premier League that much really with Newcastle, but then went to Fulham and was a big part in their promotion push. So I reckon if they get promoted, Fulham will snap him up, but there will be a few clubs fighting over him now. Danny Ings has been linked with a Burnley return, even if it's just on loan, to kind of get him playing football again. Even though he did play a few times for Liverpool towards the end of the year. Not really start a lot of games, but he did play a few times. Joe Bryan is one of the Bristol City ones who's had an outstanding year this year. Who's been linked with a Premiership return. Well, a Premiership move. Craig Dawson is another West Brom player they've been linked with. It looks like they've been linked with half of the West Brom team, really. Simunovic is one from Celtic they've been linked with as another backup centre half. Joe Worrell's been linked as a backup centre half from Nottingham Forest. He's a really good player. And the other one is Mark Roberts from Birmingham, who's been linked with him. He's an alright player, but not an as good player. That's going to be the end of this video, guys. Next episode will be Chelsea, I think. Yeah, it will be Chelsea. But that'll probably be uploaded tomorrow. Bye guys, and I will see you tomorrow.